And there is Simon Jordan claiming that Usyk's technical brilliance won't save him from Dubois's power. Okay. And he went on to say, he said, he is beatable. Jordan pointed to Dubois's youth, power, and growth since their first encounter, including the fact that Dubois did drop Usyk in round 5 as reasons the rematch could play out very differently. And let me counterpunch. Growth, power, youth. These are the things that Simon Jordan mentioned. My only question was, does Dubois hit harder now? I mean, wasn't he younger then? You know, you could argue that, you know, Daniel Dubois in his prime. I get that. But as far as power, you know, the technical brilliance won't stop the power of Dubois. That really is a bold statement based on the fact that you're saying, well, his punching power is going to be too much for Usyk, just like it was too much for him in the first fight. And let me counterpunch. Well, if that's the case, he should have been able to land that punch again. If it was that legal, or if it was that easy to land, he should have went right back to the body, which he did go to the body. It's just the outcome that he had wasn't the same as it was where that questionable blow was. That's all that was. You know, people saying, oh, well, his power is going to be too much for Usyk. Well, and his skill and brilliance. They said the same shit about Floyd when he fought a lot of people. But he shut all that down. And I don't believe that Dubois hits that hard to just stop people. I don't. Especially somebody like Oleksandr Usyk. I question if he's grown. I could be wrong. And times I want to be wrong. I want these fighters to prove me wrong. But as of right now, I don't think Dubois really learned anything. He was with the same trainer he was then as he is now. You know what I mean? So nothing really changed, right? He got a kid now, but that doesn't mean that he's, you know, grown all this much and he's learned this and learned that. You know, I just think styles make fights. When people get in front of certain fighters with certain styles, with a certain skill set, they're always going to have problems. That's why I think justice for Joseph has the same attributes. Are they as good as Usyk's? No, I don't think they are. But they are in the same ballpark when it comes to speed and footwork. Dubois hasn't dealt with anything like that. That's why people were pissed off because he didn't fight a guy like Parker, because we want to see Danny Dubois be challenged by that same style of fighter. A guy with footwork, a guy with speed that I think is faster than Dubois. Even though Dubois is not slow, but I think Parker's just a little faster. And I know his footwork is better. So that being said, I think that all in all, Dubois will have problems with someone like Usyk with his style. You know, now if he lands a shot, I just think the shot was landed, and hey, fair play to him. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that he's just learned all of this. You know, if anything, the experience could be, you know, a factor, because he knows what to expect from Usyk. And everyone, probably besides Tyson, does a little better. So if Daniel Dubois does better in this fight, does that mean he's still going to win a decision? I don't think so. You know, I don't think that that's the case. But all in all, you know, Simon Jordan, he's a believer that the shot was legal, and I 100% understand that. But I just don't think the power is going to be all and end all with Daniel Dubois, because he had that before. You see what I'm saying? He had power before that. He had power in the Joe Joyce fight. He had power in the Jarrell Miller fight. But at the same time, you know, he still encountered problems. But you guys tell me what you think of Simon Jordan stating that Usyk's skill and technique won't help him or won't work this time against Daniel Dubois. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!